Alright, hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Alpha Heavy Gamer and here is my honest review on the T-72M2 Moderna, which is currently the top ground prize for the Children of Arachis crafting event. Now, I've known about this Slovakian modernization of the T-72A for a while, and I'm pretty happy it's finally here in the form of a reward tank. But like I said, this is just a modernization of the T-72A, and it currently sits at 10.0. So if I had to characterize the Moderna, I would call it a hardcore version of the vanilla T-72A. It's heavily armed, but not heavily armored. Alright, so let's jump into the details of this tank, and at the end I'll let you know if it stacks up and if it's worth the grind or a marketplace buy. Alright, so let's talk about some firepower here. So the Moderna features basically the same 125mm cannon on other T-72s and T-80s, except this is the 2A46MS. So I'm guessing the S stands for Slovakian. Alright, so getting serious here, but what the T-72Bs, the T-80B, and even the T-72AV terms T don't have though is the TAPNA round. The TAPNA outperforms 3BM42 by a wide margin with 509mm of pen at 10 meters and 0 degrees angle of attack. So that is really good for a 10.0 tank. This round is above average for the BR range, and it handily outperforms German DM23, American M774, and British L26 APF-SDS rounds. You will have no problems facing enemies you come up against throughout the BR range. You'll also get a useful HE frag round, which you can hit commander's hatches for enemies that go hull down. It's really funny when you do that. And of course you have a heat round for dispatching light vehicles. But even better, you get the 3BM22 APF-SDS with 425mm of pen at 10 meters and 0 degrees angle of attack. Now the 3BM22 is a tier 1 upgrade, so getting rid of the stock Heat FS should be pretty easy. So Gaijin is merciful sometimes. So the TAPNA round is pretty good, but your ace in the hole is the 30mm 2A42 cannon from the BMP2. So even though you only get 250 rounds, this gun can save you in a pinch. You know, killing light vehicles and shooting down planes is pretty fun with this, and they should take caution when engaging you. I had to get used to the fact though that I even had such a powerful secondary weapon like the 30mm, since I'm used to driving Russian tanks without any of that stuff. So this is pretty unique and pretty cool. So rounding out the firepower here, you have the same reload as other T-72s, 7.1 seconds. Turret rotation speed is a little worse, but it's still workable. The Moderna also has similar gun angles of -6 and +13 degrees. Overall, the lethality of the Moderna is a notch above other T-72s due to the TAPNA round and the 30mm cannon, which should be expected. So moving on to optics, the Moderna features lots of Western upgrades here with French and Belgian fire control modifications, which include a laser rangefinder and other optics upgrades. You get gunner and commander's thermals with this tank that are actually pretty nice. The resolution is a step up, and they seem to be as good as the ones on the terms T. However, the gunner sight zoom is pretty bad, so in long distance engagements you're going to be at a disadvantage if you stick with the gunner sight. The 8x zoom limitation in the gunner sight though can be mitigated if you don't mind switching to the commander's independent thermal viewer sight, which has up to 12x zoom. Alright, so rounding out the optics, if you play Sim, the driver gets NBDs, so that's pretty cool. Alright, so let's get to the armor. The armor profile on the Moderna is probably its biggest letdown. It is basically a T-72A under all the ERA, so the weak spots are the same. But speaking of the ERA, I actually like the Dynas ERA, as it seems to work well even against APF-SDS shells. It has 100mm of kinetic protection and 550mm of protection against heat rounds. Against ATGMs though, protection is adequate for regular and top attack profiles, as the Moderna also has roof-mounted Dynas ERA. But I would say don't push your luck too far with this ERA against ATGMs because you are going to fly too close to the sun with that. Side protection is adequate with ERA on the front third, then transitioning to slat armor as you get to the back of the tank. The slat armor has saved me sometimes, but you know, it's better just to not get hit in the first place. Overall, I think you have adequate armor against competitors throughout your BR range with the traditional weak spots of the T-72 series. Okay, so let's talk about self-protection. The Moderna is not equipped with any kind of active protection system, which is unfortunate as I feel an APS would complete the tank. However, it does have a laser warning system, smoke grenades, it has engine smoke. Sadly, protection for the 3 crew members is still mediocre. The Moderna does not have blowout panels, and it's still equipped with a Russian-style ammunition carousel right under the turret, meaning that the tank is very vulnerable from the sides, even though you have ERA and slat armor. If all else goes wrong, you do have a dozer blade though to make a last stand. Alright, so let's talk about some mobility. The Moderna mobility is adequate. It features a 850 horsepower diesel engine, and it weighs 44 tons. I mean, it isn't a heavyweight like some NATO MBTs. You can reach the advertised 60 kilometer top speed over moderately rough terrain, but most of the time I'm somewhere between 40 kph and 50 kph. I did find myself though wishing the engine had about 200 more horsepower almost every match, because at times it does feel sluggish and you can struggle to get up some steep grades. And of course, just like all tanks derived from Russian design philosophy, your reverse speed is atrocious. Do not take positions you can't get out of by going forward. Alright, so my overall impressions of this tank, I really like this tank. I like being aggressive in it. It's pretty nice. It offers some unique things due to the 30mm gun and the optics upgrades. It isn't as competitive as, say, the T-80B. I say that because the T-80B is very mobile. But the Moderna still fits nicely in a lineup with the T-72B 1989, the T-80B, and if you want to bring up the T-72AB Terms T, if you don't mind up-tiering it, it fits nicely with that tank as well. If you're used to all the disadvantages of Russian tanks like bad crew protection due to the ammo carousel, poor gun depression, poor reverse speed, and sometimes poor optics, this tank, of course, is for you. So I think it certainly is worth keeping when you complete the grind, and even maybe worth buying from the Gaijin market if you value your time. I find crafting events way too tedious, so that's just me. But currently the market price is about 70 Gaijin coins, but the price could drop as more of the Modernas get dumped on the market. But that's if you want to pay that kind of money. Alright, so that's the video for today. Thanks for stopping by and checking out the review. Let me know in the comments what you think about this tank. Do you really like it, or do you wish we got something different? I was reading, and I know there is another prototype of the T-72M2 Moderna. One of them had 2 20mm guns, so that would have been pretty cool to get that one. Maybe that won't even come later. But alright, I'm out. See you in a future video.